I'd like to call to order the special call meeting for December 17th at 6 o'clock. Our first item is public comment. In accordance with the Texas Attorney General's opinion, any public comment that is made on any item that is not on the published final agenda will only be heard by City Council. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made by council. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. I have Mr. Jeff Thompson.
Good evening, honorable council members. I have prepared comments, but I find myself wanting to use my 3 minutes to discuss the virtues of certain attire choices that I see on the dais this evening, but I'm not going to do that, but I applaud your choices. I do want to take a moment, though, this evening, before any of the appointments are made, to express my personal thanks to all the board and commission candidates. I applaud their willingness to serve our community. I have served as such continuously since 2015, and I do hope is that they find their experience as rewarding and fulfilling as my 9 years have been. You know, governance is not about the few making decisions for the many. In our great American experiment, it's about all of us having a role in making decisions. Board or commission service is a valuable and important role in ensuring the prosperity and quality of life in our community. As such, in my official capacity on the PCDC board, I am making the growth and readiness of volunteer leaders in government a 2025 priority in pursuit of our fundamental mission to facilitate community development. Thank you.
Thank you. And our former city council member, Jim McDonald. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have here a state resolution that will be read into the official record at the convening of the 89th legislative session. Resolution. Whereas Dale Woodkey, a valued member of the Pflugerville community and a friend to many, passed away on November 4th, 2024. And whereas Woody was a co-founder and owner of the Three-Legged Goat, a wine bar that opened in downtown Pflugerville in 2018. He gave back to his community as a member of the Rotary Club of Pflugerville, and he volunteered with a number of other civic organizations, including Backpack Friends and Healing with Horses Ranch. He also served on the executive committee of the Pflugerville Education Foundation. In all his endeavors, he benefited from the love and support of his wife, Marilyn Klassen, who was going to be here this evening, but may be running late. Whereas, admired for his warmth, generosity, and keen sense of humor, Woody Woodkey lived a caring and purposeful life, and he leaves behind a record of service that his loved ones can remember with pride. Now, therefore, be it resolved that tribute be paid to the memory of Dale Woodkey, and that sincere condolences be extended to his family and many friends. Signed, Cheryl Cole, State Rep, District 46.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. All right. So moving on to our appointments of boards and commissions, and I will dovetail to some extent on Mr. Thompson's comments, is that while we have a number of applicants, and in some cases we may not have an equal number of vacancies, please understand that the council's responsibility is to make the best decisions we can. There are a number of boards and commissions, and while we say this at the very end, I will say it at the very beginning, is that if, as a candidate here tonight, you do not find yourself being appointed to the committee that you chose to apply for, there are other committees that perhaps would have vacancies for you to consider, and that's certainly something that would be your choice, of course. And in addition, I would just like to state that the appointment to any of these boards and commissions is a very, I want to say serious, maybe that's not the right word, but should be taken with a lot of commitment and giving to whatever board or commission you get selected to. It is obviously, you are all volunteers, as we here on the council are volunteers, and it is your choice to give of your time, and we appreciate that very much. I want to start with the Parks and Recreation Commission, and this evening we have 3 regular openings and 1 alternate opening, and we have several applicants for this particular board. And I'm going to ask, if you're here, to come forward and present yourself, make comments as you wish. You may have some questions asked by council or not. But we're going to start with Uriel Reyes. I guess he's not here, or she's not here. Christian Rogers.
Hello. I can start with intro, or if you guys have questions right away, fine to go either way.
No, just start with your introduction of yourself.
Yeah, my name's Christian Rogers. I've been a Pflugerville resident for about 4 years now. I did Pflugerville 101 earlier this year. My background is actually marine biology, but I've been working for the last couple of years when we moved back to Texas for a renewable energy development firm doing environmental and permitting compliance, that kind of thing. I've got a 5-year-old boy. We spend a lot of time out on the parks and trails in Pflugerville, and it was a major factor in determining where we bought our house when we moved back. I really think there's an opportunity to kind of improve the ability to, incorporate nature-based designs into a lot of the parks and trail systems that are out there. I consider myself a very outdoorsy person. I jump at the opportunity to ride my bike or walk anywhere I can, and again, that's an aspect of Pflugerville's trail system that has really drawn me to, really like the city and a desire to kind of provide my own time to help improve that in any way I can. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have related to that.
Okay, Christian. Well, thank you. That's a good opening. We appreciate that. And we appreciate that you're using the parks and trails in Pflugerville. Council, do you have any questions of Christian?
Of all our parks and trails, what do you use the most?
Probably trails. Pfluger Park is definitely, my personal favorite, but really anywhere that has a playground is definitely where I find myself on the weekends. But again, I really enjoy and relish the ability to bike, and use public transport or use anything that's not a car whenever I can. I think there's opportunity to kind of improve the connectivity of some of the trails that are out there. My kid goes to daycare at Goddard over on Wells Branch, and I bike every day that the weather allows me to, pretty much. But parks and trails both equally, I'd say.
All right.
All right.
You did some work, I seem to recall from your resume, on remediation after one of the hurricanes. It was the big blowout in the Gulf of Mexico.
That's correct.
Tell us about that. What was that experience like for you?
I wouldn't say it wasn't anything that'd probably be super helpful with parks, but I mentioned I went to the University of Texas, graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Marine Freshwater Biology. So the Deepwater Horizon happened a month before I graduated. So that was a very unique and I think rare experience where someone coming out with just a bachelor's degree gets direct field experience. But I was basically out on ships and doing various degrees of biological sampling and that kind of thing. But yeah, lots of time on the water. My previous job prior to this involved, I used to work for the National Park Service in Biscayne National Park, and I was previously doing environmental consulting for a small firm in Miami, Florida. Spent a lot of time underwater doing that. And current job's more terrestrial based. Again, there's a lot of more regulatory, permitting, compliance, that kind of aspect. But
Even though Key Biscayne is largely marine park, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe it's 97% underwater, actually.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate it. James Fletcher?
Hello, my name is James Fletcher. I go by my middle name, Clint Fletcher. Longtime resident, 30-plus years. Big user of the parks and recreation facilities all that time. And recently retired, so I have more time to dedicate to volunteer opportunities. And this is one that I've been interested in for a while, so. Welcome to open.
You live right next to one of the trails, don't you? Or you still live there?
Yeah, we back up to the Fluger Park.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get a lot of usage out of that. That became my sanctuary during the pandemic.
Yeah,
I was in the park a lot since then, so.
very good. Council, question?
One of the things that you mentioned in your application, Clint, was the park cleanups and vegetation maintenance. Could you tell me more about how you'd like to see that improved?
I just would like to see, I really like what we saw recently with the goats. Cleaning up a lot of the stuff that doesn't belong there, some of the vegetation that's not native, that's kind of taken over. So that was nice to see that happening of recent. And then just maybe do something where, I know we've had cleanups in the past, maybe make sure that's regular and, and spread it throughout the city, and that kind of thing. I'm not sure how regular it is, but that's something I'd certainly like to see happen.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Efrain Resendez?
Good afternoon, Mayor Gonzalez, City Manager for Breland, and City Council. My name is Efrain Resendez, and I have been a resident of Pflugerville for 35 years. Always been in technology, so this is something totally different for me. I completed my associates in technology in '77, and so when I turned 50, I decided to go back to school. I got my associates, got my bachelor's, and then decided that was fun. So I went after my master's. That was fun, so then I decided to go for my doctoral in instructional design and technology. That was fun for about 3 years, and then I turned 62 and decided that was enough, and so I retired. So
Are you a doctor?
No, I did not. I've got 3 more hours than,
Okay.
But yes, and also during the what I was really studying was online curriculum, and then the pandemic started, and that pretty much meant it actually went online,
Yeah.
and so there was no more need for research for that, sort of. But the professors were also wanting someone to do research, and I was there for fun. It was a little bit different for me. I wasn't the normal student. I was a little bit older and was there just to learn. So for the past 4 years, I've been with the volunteering with the Texas Special Olympics in the fundamental sports, which is for youth that are more disabled than the normal special youth, and so they need special attention. So I do that, and we do the winter, fall, and summer Olympics all over the state. This February we'll be in Bee Caves, and then in the summer we'll be just north of McKinney doing that one. And then I think in September I started volunteering with the new program at the Rosedale School for Special Olympics, and I'm teaching the UT Cowboys how to be able to work with Special Olympic youth for training, and so that's what I've been doing lately.
The Texas Cowboys?
Yes, the Texas Cowboys, ones with the cannons. And so basically, they're there doing some of their volunteer work, and so I train them how to be able to use the materials and the equipment with the special needs students that are there at that Rosedale School. I am a graduate of PF 101. I graduated this year, and I'm also on the board, well, actually on the committee for Deutschenfest. During that time, I also decided to volunteer with the tree planting that's going on with Dave Madden, so that's a little bit of fun. And with that in mind, I decided I needed to contribute a little bit more for the town that I've called home for so long. And and so if anybody has any questions as to why anybody would want to have so much more
You're setting the
fun,
bar too high for me because I'm going to retire next year. So.
I'm actually busier now than when
Yeah.
I worked and went to school.
Wow. Council, questions?
I saw one thing in your application, sir, about building more, your desire to build more sports facilities. Can you expand on what type of sports facilities you'd like to see?
For that one, and what I was talking about on that one, was more for, since I work with the Special Olympics and also getting at the ripe age, I'm beginning to discover that some of the parks probably need a little bit more adaptive type of trails or stuff like that to be able to accommodate special needs. And so some of the sports that I'm talking about are that type of sports that don't really require great big basketball courts, but more individual type sports, and also locations for people to be able to sit and rest with some sort of shades while they're doing that for some of us that are a little bit older.
Gotcha, thank you.
So like the parks and Round Rock and Georgetown.
Correct, yes. I definitely see the need with the 103 degrees being for 4 months to have a little bit of shade while I'm walking.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Melissa Call?
Good evening, City Manager, Mayor, City Council, City Secretary. Appreciate all of you here tonight. My name is Melissa Call. You know me as an alternate on the Parks and Rec for the past year. I've also was on the Deutschenfest committee for about 8 years. I'm president of the Pflugerville Arts Council. I've produced over 35 classical concerts here at First United Methodist over the past 10 years. I've also curated over 5 art shows at the library, at the public library, the last one being all veterans, and our last concert was all veterans. I worked for the Chamber for 10 years, and so I really enjoyed being an alternate. I was very faithful to attend every single meeting, and when a vote was needed, I was there. I didn't know a lot about the parks and trails, quite frankly. I've been in Pflugerville for 35 years, aware of it, but not usage of it outside of Deutschenfest. As a patient of multiple sclerosis, I have a tendency to stay away from the heat big time. And so what I do have a tendency to also do is bring people to Pflugerville, either through events or communication, et cetera, et cetera. So I enjoy the process of telling them all about the parks and the trails that we have. And so I would enjoy continuing that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Council? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Miriam Mormon?
Good evening. I'm Miriam Mormon. I am 8-year resident of Pflugerville. I'm very active. I've served in the chamber for a while with the Education Foundation. I've been active in the ISD, youth sports. I love the community, but I think the best thing about our community is our parks. I live by myself in a 5-bedroom house, and I keep thinking about downsizing, but there's a trailhead right at the end of my street, and that is a really hard thing to give up. I walk the trails every day with my dogs, and every morning as I'm picking up the coyote poop to keep the sidewalks clean, I'm always thinking about things that we could do to improve the parks. As a realtor, it's probably one of the number one things that I talk to about people, about Pflugerville. People are looking for homes. And so if I can just continue to make it better. I also played at the rec center for years with the volleyball league. So I love the rec center as well. But yeah, if I can contribute in a positive way and just continue to keep the parks and rec as nice as they are and continue to make them better, then I want to contribute.
Okay. Questions?
In your application, Miriam, you mentioned information about sports leagues or open play. Can you tell me more about how you feel about sports leagues and what you would want to add or improve?
Well, I know that we have several choices at the rec center, and I did play volleyball for a long time. I haven't tried pickleball, but I mean, I think maybe it's more the marketing, just to make sure that more people know about it. I think we have a lot of good choices, and I just don't think enough people know how much we offer. So maybe I think it's the marketing, maybe more than offering more choices.
Okay.
And I like marketing.
And then this was interesting that you added more trash cans along the trails and maybe volunteered sponsored ones like Adopt a Trail,
Yes.
Adopt a Trash Can.
And I brought that to the last Parks and Rec meeting, where I took advantage of the citizen time and presented that to Parks and Rec. So I don't know if anything is being considered, but as I walk the trail, like there's a couple of places where there's a big gap, particularly where the vendors park for Deutschenfest, because that's the 3 sidewalks meet there, and it's where people come and go to the soccer fields, and there's no trash can there. So that's just an example of the things I think about as I'm walking the trail. Just something that would make more convenient for people who are using our parks.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Karina Albiter or Albiter? Not here? Okay. Isaac Carizales? Okay. Duly noted. Kenita Hood?
Hello, I'm not the greatest public speaker. So I'm Kenita. I grew up in Louisiana, and I could say that when I was younger, I really didn't care a lot about parks, but when I got into college, I started working for the Louisiana State Parks, and they let us go around to all the parks and visit because we'd be better about knowing how to offer information to people who'd actually visit it. And I think I grew appreciation for the beauty of the trees and nature once I did that. Then I moved here to Austin, and I started working for an urban design and landscape architecture firm as a marketing coordinator, and I got to be involved in community engagement process and helping to write the comprehensive plans. I got to read the Pflugerville Parks and Recreation master plan that we did just recently, and I started to appreciate the process behind it and how to build those plans and how the community builds those plans.
One of the questions I had for you, Kenita, was that you talked about recreational sports and facilities which you'd see improved and expanded on. Any sport or activity in particular?
Well, I play roller derby, and we are
Looking
a
for
really
rink?
small community, and we just would love to have a space. We desperately need it throughout Austin, Pflugerville, Round Rock. And so one of the things that I would like to improve is there, just because at most of the rec centers, it's most of the same sports over and over, and there's not a lot of room for a smaller sport to fit into there.
What would you need for roller derby, a facility?
We do need a large space and really just tape on the ground or paint. It doesn't require a lot. We bring everything else.
So do you usually use a basketball court, or do you usually...
A basketball court, yeah. You just need a hard surface that you can roll on. We have different wheel hardnesses that we use.
Would that work on concrete, or is it okay?
Absolutely.
As
Smooth,
long as you've got
preferably.
enough knee pads and elbow pads.
Yeah. Preferably no.
But you don't prefer concrete, right? 'Cause
No,
falling-
but if it's smooth, it's workable, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you all play now?
work the Rock Sports Arena. It's like sport court, but they cut our space in half there, and so while we can practice there, we can't hold games there, and that was the way we brought in most of our revenue. And unfortunately, we can't do that now.
So the wear and tear on a court from roller skates, I guess, how's that? I mean, I'm just assuming that.
Don't think it hurts the floor at all.
You don't-
No more than like
Well, it wouldn't
basketball sneakers
concrete or
would.
cement,
Yeah, they're not
but-
made of like hard. They're like kind of rubberish wheels. So,
Yeah. Okay.
and we hold liability insurance. So if something happened, we'd be able to file insurance and cover that.
All right.
I never thought about that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Tracy Doctor is not here. Wasn't she a current member? Or, I mean, her name rings a bell.
She's here.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I know who she is, yeah. Okay. All right, council, so we've heard from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candidates or applicants. And we're appointing 3 regular appointees and 1 alternate appointee. So there's 4 individuals and 6 applicants.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, we take a motion,
Well-
don't we do it differently?
a slate.
Instead of one motion?
Yeah, I would,
I mean, we can all speak our top
Yeah,
four.
we can do either.
But Mayor, however you wish to proceed. Do you want to take them one at a time?
I would rather take one at a time.
Okay.
That way, I mean, because if you, ideally, if a council member nominated the 3 people I like, that would be great.
If
But
it's only 2 of the 3, then.
Vote against the one I did like, so. So let's just run down and take each one at a time, and then Trista, you can, calculate the votes or whatever.
Okay, yeah, so your top 3, my top 3, your top 3.
We doing 3 or 4? Because it's 3 plus 1
Oh,
alternate.
it's an alternate? 4.
Yeah.
And then whoever's the last one will be alternate.
Right.
Sorry, how are we doing this?
Yeah.
We're writing our top 4?
Yeah, but we have to say them out loud.
No,
We
okay, not
we
saying.
have to say it out loud.
All right,
Okay.
we'll start at this end.
That's fine.
Yes.
All right.
Come on, David, you didn't get it the
I'm
first
going
time.
to recommend Efren Resendez, Melissa Call, Miriam Mormon, and Kanita Hood. Everybody was really impressive, but
Are you nominating those as, are any 3 the regular and 1 the alternate, or?
I just assume that whoever gets the 4th number of votes will be the alternate.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
My turn?
Your turn.
Okay. Actually, those were my 4 as well. Do I need to say them?
Yes.
Melissa Call, Miriam Mormon, Efron Resendez, and Kanita Hood.
Kristen Rogers, Efren, Melissa, Kanita.
Okay. Christian Rogers, Clint Fletcher, Efren Resendez, and Kanita.
I'm sorry, who was your 4th mayor?
Kanita.
Anita?
Oh, you waiting on me?
Okay, so,
All right. Well, I'm super excited to see some new people here, so I'm gonna go with Ephraim, James, Kanita, and Christian as my 4 names.
Yes.
You ready? All right. I think I'm the same, but in a different order. Christian, James, Ephraim, and Kenita.
I'm going to go James, Melissa, Miriam, and Kenita.
We have two for sure.
Yeah, definitely two. I don't know. I wasn't able to. I didn't keep track.
3 4s.
We got a three-way tie for third.
I think we had 3-way tie for third.
Okay, my tally is Kenita has 7, Efren has 6, and then Christian and Melissa both have 4. And then Miriam has 3.
Sorry, who all had 4?
Melissa Call and Christian Rogers.
And Christian Rogers.
How many did Mr. Fletcher have?
We have 4.
I thought I had this 3. I thought it was 3.
Apologies, yes, James also has 4.
Okay.
Okay, so we do have the tie, the 3-way tie.
We've got one regular, one alternate, and 3 people tied. So,
Yeah.
We got to pick between the Melissa, Christian, and James.
And James.
do we want each person to say 2?
We get to pick two.
Two of those 3?
Two of those.
Which ones?
Christian and James.
I'll start from this end this time. So I'll say James and Melissa.
I'll say Christian and James.
Between Christian, James, and Melissa.
Melissa.
Yeah. Pick 2.
Christian and James.
Christian and James.
Christian and James.
And Christian and James.
Christian and Melissa.
Christian and Melissa.
Christian and Melissa.
So if I counted correctly, that gave us.
Now we have another tie.
So Christian gets the 3rd spot, and we got
Yeah.
a tie for alternate.
Alternate.
Oh, made this hard. So that's between James and Melissa for alternate.
Yeah. Don't worry, this is only the first board.
Ouch.
I think this was the number.
All right, let's go.
The other end.
Melissa.
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 Done.
Yeah, it's 4. It's, no matter what, it's 4.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Congratulations to those candidates that were selected.
I will need an action.
Oh, yeah. We
Yeah.
need a
Oh,
motion.
motion to approve. You got, who's got the names down?
So it's
I move that
Oh,
we
go ahead.
select Kenita Hood, Ephraim Resendez, and Christian Rogers for the regular spot, and Melissa Call for the alternate spot.
Second.
A motion and a second.
Give it a second.
where did this go?
Just as pranking us.
We were supposed to be done by now. Melissa, there we go. All right, motion carried. All right, I'm going to jump to the PCDC board appointments, and we'll come back to the TERS in just a minute.
Okay.
All right, so This is to take action on appointments to the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation Board. We have 3 regular openings. Mr. McDonald, Cesar Ruiz, and Adam Rosenfeld were on there as members. And then we have 4 additional applicants. Well, let's see, Mr. McDonald's not applying for this, so. Okay. I would like to initiate this process. I know that we've had this discussion over and over again, and I think it's important. We currently have, we had 3 council members represented on the board. We currently have 2. Mr. Ruiz is for reappointment on the PCDC board, and I think it would be in order to continue with the 2nd council member on the board. And he has indicated he's willing to serve again. And so I'd like to just get that out of the way and make a motion. We appoint Councilman Ruiz to the PCDC board.
Second.
You have a
Well,
motion?
I would,
Now we have
I-
discussion.
okay. I think we have a number of qualified applicants, and I would prefer to see more citizen participation on the board, so that we can build up our volunteers and give them experience. And I believe 1 city council member as a liaison between the 2 groups is sufficient.
I'd like to echo that. I think we have the strongest group of candidates for PCDC membership that I've ever seen. And I think it'd be a shame for us not to take advantage of the enthusiasm of the just extraordinary group of citizens who want to offer their talents.
Any other discussion? Okay. We have a motion and a second. And motion carried.
All right, so that's 1.
So, we have a vacancy, and then Adam Rosenfeld is reapplying for appointment. Adam, you want to come forward and make a statement, please?
Yep. Hey, my name's Adam Rosenfield. I served on the PCDC board the past 2 years. I double-checked my multiple email accounts just to tell you what I've done in the past 2 years. I've made intros to the PCDC for a defense tech company, Austin Youth Works, Easy Expunctions, the Make It Center. Crystal and I tried to work with Manpower to create an advanced manufacturing event. Not only that, helped secure a speaking spot for Amy at TalentNet, which is a gathering of HR and recruiting professionals last year. Not only that, worked with Crystal and Veronica to help with the Venture Week, and hopefully we'll get a speaking spot at the Texas Venture Alliance next year. Then finally, I've been working with some folks on PCDC, intro them to Movability for various transportation solutions to help us in the city of Pflugerville. So that's a little bit about what I've done as a PCDC board member. Outside of that, I work at Cat Metro Workforce Outreach, so obviously doing recruiting, doing workforce development. So workforce development and recruiting is kind of what I do, both professionally, personally. I outside of PCDC, I do recruitment for an organization called the Diabetes Sports Project, so use Pflugerville's trails often at 5 a.m. And created a hopeful tradition last year with the menorah lighting. The second one is this year. Rudy does not conflict with any Texas Longhorn games.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because I saw one of the most vile, repugnant things I've ever seen on an application. not a Texas Longhorns fan. Unbelievable.
I did see that, and I
The
thought it was
level of disrespect that drips from this. is
You know, obviously, like everybody on the council is wearing green because North Texas, we play the first responder bowl. So, but look, like, you know, in all seriousness, I take seriously my reappointment to PCDC. You know, I'm passionate about workforce development, passionate about enhancing quality of life. You know, also working more collaboratively with the city. You know, how can we continue to make Pflugerville, you know, a place where people want to do business, where people want to live, and, you know, where people want to develop their workforce. So, open for any questions. And any accomplishments that I did, feel free to ask Crystal or check any of my email accounts. Open records, that's all on there. I did that today.
You've got
so.
yourself covered there, Adam. Well, Adam, I'll say, you know, having come onto the board here a couple of years ago, or almost 2 years ago, not quite, and then just watching you interact on the board, I know previously, and again, that's history, we had boards that were somewhat silent, and that always bothered me. And but what I've seen in you is certainly a maturity in the role of the PCDC board and the contributions that you've made in exchange with the board members. And so, you know, I'll give you certainly a kudos in that area.
Adam, you brought up regarding major challenges, economic development, a lack of a four-year institution. Can you expand on that, Bud?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, look, we have a lot of four-year institutions doing satellite, having satellite buildings. So, you know, most recently, University of Texas had Taylor. You've got Texas State and Round Rock. You know, a four-year institution always brings a certain type of brings employers. It creates a meeting space for. The word is escaping me, but like a meeting of the minds that, you know, helps not only, I think, with enhancing the city, but also enhancing industry in the city. So, you know, my thoughts are we have so many public and private universities that maybe don't have a presence in Austin. My alma mater, for instance, not saying anything, but, you know, or Texas Tech, Houston, TCU, SMU. You know, and even some of the HBCUs, perhaps. I know we have Houston Tillotson, but, you know, there are others in the Houston area that I bet wouldn't mind expanding here. So, you know, even that like satellite building or satellite institution creates an opportunity for us to even court more employers, but also get students up here. You know, it helps us build a relationship with them, keep them in Pflugerville, and just build a whole nother, you know, type of workforce for us.
So Adam, we're part of the process of the engagement we had with recruiting and hiring a new executive director for the board. What do you feel is going to happen with Jerry Jones?
Yeah,
And
I know.
And as far as in terms of what he brings and what he can contribute to the city and working with the board.
Yeah, I mean, definitely an ability to like draft well and keep free agents, but no, I'm just kidding. No, look, like Jerry stood out among everybody. You know, not only he's got a unique experience as a city councilman, but also his work in Louisiana, his work in Richmond, you know, building smaller communities and building them up. We also are of a similar age, and you know, seeing maybe that dichotomy versus other maybe Texas economic development, I think maybe he brings a different idea about economic development, but also, you know, different relationships with developers in Houston, different relationships with folks maybe in Louisiana. You know, maybe there's something that could translate here. But, you know, just his style is one of like a relationship oriented and, you know, somebody that's really going to get to know the nooks and crannies of, every part of Pflugerville. I was really impressed. I mean, he literally went on a little tour of Pflugerville, interviewing people like, what's good, what's bad, what needs to be improved. And I feel like that, if you don't build relationship, I mean, I don't care, like, if you're the executive director or if you're on a board, like, you should know the ins and outs of the city. You should, and, he's somebody who cares to know the ins and outs. So, I think that's going to be of benefit.
That's a good summary, thank you. Appreciate it.
Adam, while we were doing this, conducting the questioning for the new head of PCDC, you remember one of the questions was something to the effect of, how would you navigate things when you and the board want to go in one direction, but city council chooses another direction? You remember that?
Yeah.
Paraphrasing, but something of that nature. So let me ask you, how would you do it as a board member when you want to go in a direction, but city council doesn't want to do that? How are you going to navigate that? Because, and I'm going to be honest, you sit pretty quiet in most of the meetings. I know you're listening, but you rarely say anything.
I'm gonna say that's not true necessarily, but also
Necessarily.
not
With all due respect, though.
Yeah.
Yes, there are times where I stay quiet, but also look, when you have essentially a murderer's row of people that are on the board, and I say that with like all kindness, and you've got 100 years of public service and work experience, like
You're talking about Darrell, right?
I mean, there are times where you listen, but no, look, I understand. I mean, for me, the first couple of months this year was a learning experience because you have people who were appointed who have served the city, but also served professionally for years, and so sometimes it's not time for you to state your opinions, but like see what they have done and see if they have responded. But
No, I mean, I asked that because, there have been some strong personalities on both sides that have caused a bit of a rift, but you stayed pretty neutral, and to your credit, and you just focused on PCDC. So really, I want to know, when you see this happening, how do you navigate this and work with council and continue to do what you need to do for PCDC as a board member?
No, I mean, look, number one, you can't take anything personally. I think that's one thing that I always learn, both like both professionally and here. Everybody has their own way of how they want a city governed, how they want a board governed. So look, if the council wants to go one way, look, obviously we serve at the mercy of council.
Discretion.
Discretion, mercy. Clearly, I'm not a politician, but no, we serve at the discretion of council, and I can give the council as much information as possible about a particular issue, but if they choose to go that way, then that's the way they go. But at least I have armed them with enough information to where they feel comfortable. At least I've armed them with enough information to know that I have done my best to state my case. Whereas if they've gone the other way. So, but once again, you can't take it personal. The least you could, worst that can happen is hey, I respect you for all the information that you've given me. So,
I appreciate your honesty.
Thank you. Adam, appreciate you reapplying, and good job.
Wait, where did he go to college?
UNC.
North
Texas.
Natalie Arbor.
Green.
Is Natalie Arbor here?
Yes, hello. Good evening, everybody. My name is Natalie Arbor. I've been in Pflugerville for approximately 21 years. 6 years of those, I was the HOA manager in Falcon Point. So I was pretty active with Facona. I think we would have that. Do you guys still do Facona? It was the neighborhood council. I know.
We lament what kind of that
We'd
was.
love to see
Yeah.
it re-energized.
Yeah, that was
Yes,
a great
it was
organization.
nice because I would
Great
get
organization.
we would host it quite often at the Falcon Point Amenity Center, but just getting neighborhood HOA board members together to kind of brainstorm about different things. So that was a lot of fun and got to know some of you from doing that. I also currently work for in a municipal utility district operator. I have 15 accounts, and 8 of them are in Pflugerville. So it's Lakesides, which are basically Blackhawk. And I have Kelly Lane, which is Kelly Lane 1 and 2, which is basically Avalon. So I manage those contracts. I'm the contract manager for those
And who's
municipalities.
the MUD?
Pardon me?
Who is the MUD operator?
Crossroads Utility Services.
Crossroads.
Crossroads.
Yep, so I'm the contract manager for those districts. I also sit on the MUD board for the neighborhood I live in, which is in Falcon Point. So I'm a board member of Travis County MUD 15. I believe in giving back to the community and helping where I can, and I saw this come across the mail with my bill, and I just was interested and thought I'd apply.
Well, it sounds like you obviously have a lot of experience with the neighborhood development process and dealing with HOAs and residents and so forth. Tell us a little bit about your feelings about the business environment of Pflugerville. I mean, that's the residential environment, certainly. But the business environment, where we are today, what you see happening, what you would like to see happening in respect to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the focus that I would like to see is just more places for my family to gather within Pflugerville. I find that the restaurant choices are kind of limited. We've gotten some at 54th Street and some local little places, but when we go out to eat, it seems like there's more happening in Hutto, there's more happening within Round Rock, or we go into Austin. I'd really like to try to keep everything here local. There aren't that many choices for either high-end restaurants. I also would like to see eventually the tax base help with property taxes. I know a lot of my neighbors have said, you know, it seems like a lot of the homeowners are feeling the weight of the tax burden, where some of the cities like Round Rock, they have, you know, Dell that helps contribute, or Taylor's going to have this Samsung facility that's going to be a monstrosity. It'd be nice to have more business come and really help with the burden of taxes on the homeowners.
So I have a question on that. So obviously you've been in the business for a long period of time. You're cognizant of the fact that when you have a large scale multinational corporations that are fixed, that are based in a specific entity, that has an oversized and a much more differential impact on the tax burden of local entities.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
So when you say that you're looking at these other entities, what entities, I mean, you literally started mentioning top 50 companies. Right. So what is it that you have in mind here, and where would you look at placing that, from folks to be able to go over here for that burden? That's a very, because that, I mean, and to be fair, and that's why I said that you're aware of this because of your position.
Right.
When I first came on council, I thought that too. I was like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? And then I realized, I was like, oh, okay, that's a very different, model regarding that than what normally happens in the cities from out there as well. And it actually speaks volumes to Pflugerville's size and conditions that's actually improved from that. But nonetheless, you're right. What we want is that we want our businesses to make sure that we share and offload the burden from our local taxpayers on those things. But what entities do you have in mind?
Well, I don't have anything specific in mind, but I know that like when Amazon came, when you start seeing that building come, you're like, wow, that's going to be great. Even the living spaces right off of the toll, those kind of facilities, we have the land to do some of that. It would just be nice to kind of be involved and hear how some of that works and comes to fruition.
Okay, so my apologies. So, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. What I'm hearing you say is that you saw those two examples, which are significant portions regarding our tax base and have offshored a significant aspect of our burden with our taxpayers. One of the things that we're dealing with right now is that the bonds that the citizens have approved, they're going to effect, and you want to make sure you regulate them small periods of times for that, because you don't want to have a significant aspect on there, and then you'll have your taxes go back there. But it sounds like you liked Amazon and Living Spaces being here because of what it did to the tax rate and the tax share, moving that from the citizens.
Yes,
Is that
and it's
right?
great. I mean, even Living Spaces has a little restaurant. You can go in there and grab a burger. I also see in the municipality district, when water rights are requested, for example, like when Disney came into, north of here, they're going to be doing some kind of movie studio. Like that kind of stuff is just exciting to me, and it just means that growth in the city, it's just it's a nice thing to see, and it's just going to be helpful to the whole Central Texas area to bring jobs, and jobs bring restaurants, bring other kinds of business, and so things just kind of domino effect from there.
Have you gotten a chance to go to Gen Korean Barbecue?
I have not been there yet.
I think you may like that place.
Yeah.
Foganeros?
Yes. Yeah, I like the Fogo de Chao kind of, churrascaria.
All right, any other questions, council? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
George Van de Werken.
Someone recognizes that name.
I appreciate the holiday regalia that some of you outfitted in.
It's always good seeing you, my friend.
Yes. So, name is George Van de Werken. I've been a resident of Pflugerville for about almost 10 years. I served on the PCDC board for 4 years, a couple of years as treasurer, 1 year as president, and I'm currently serving on the TERS board. My work background, as most of you know, I was a community banker until I retired, and then I moved here, and I've been active in the community, fairly active in my church right now, serving on the elder board there. And my background in terms of nonprofit organizations, I've served on a number of nonprofit boards, education, healthcare, a board that handled pensions, and then a couple of boards that had international relationships. So, just a variety, and I've gained a great deal of appreciation for board process and how that works. So, I'll be open to any questions you might have. So,
George, thank you for the application. What's drawn you back? What's drawn you back to PCDC?
I took a 2-year break, and I had some other things to work on. Those have been freed up, and so I really enjoy economic development, and I see economic development as a key to to really the flourishing of the city. And as I put in my application, there's a couple of elements, but it provides opportunity for people to use their skills in various ways. And it's a very complex thing. You're getting into some of the nuts and bolts of economic development, and there are lots of different opinions, but basically you have, recruitment, trying to bring new things in, and then there's the development of existing businesses that are here. And, truth be told, about 80% of all employment is smaller businesses, not the Amazons, it's the smaller ones. So paying attention to developing that resource in our community is very important. And of course, the third part is the development of the skills and the educational base and so on that needs to be done. In fact, I see that the City Council and PCDC have been kind of looking at how do we develop that? What does that look like? I was looking at your October meeting where you were interviewing a consultant kind of dealing with that. What are the opportunities in our area in terms of what our industries are growing? What industries actually provide good paying jobs? And then the question is, how can we attract them? And basically, you've got a new economic development director coming on board. The key to most economic development is the ability to develop trusted relationships with people who might consider moving here, or trusted relationships with people who are already in the community and to whose ear, or who have an ear to us and to whom we listen. And we try to, do what we can to create a business-friendly environment. So, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little long here, but no, I'm going to take a sidebar. I've been listening to, there was a young woman who had a podcast interview. It was out of Great Britain, but she has a business in Senegal and she has a business in the United States, and she was making a comparison between the business-friendly or lack of business-friendly environment in the two different such situations. Very interesting to listen to what are the things that really generate wealth. She said you have communities that have poverty. Well, what's the antidote to poverty? It's prosperity. How do you create prosperity? You create a business-friendly environment, and that's, and then you reward entrepreneurs and encourage them, and I see you're trying to work on that already. So that's a good start.
And we have a significant number of entrepreneurs
Yes.
in our community.
Yeah.
So,
George, I'm trying to do the math. Were you originally appointed in 2018? You said you served 4 years and then took a 2-year gap?
I was appointed for a year. I served 1 year, a 2-year term, and I resigned after the first year of a second.
I'm trying to remember if you were there when Amy was originally promoted to executive director, or was she already executive director?
She was there already.
She was there already, okay.
Yeah.
So George, what do you see? I mean, you've been in the community long enough. I mean, and I think with your experience you've had with the city and economic development and being on the board, and of course things change all the time. I mean, it's like from one day to the next, you don't know what's gonna.
It's a moving target,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, have you seen any particular challenge that we have at this point? I mean, I have several in mind, but
Well, one of them, if you have an interested party, but you don't have shovel-ready sites, well, then they're gonna go somewhere else.
Right.
So, being prepared, I guess, is
There
one
you
of the
go.
things.
Yeah.
I had a developer friend when I lived in the Chicago area, and he said, he was trying to get developments together. And he said, so many times I would have, somebody who's interested, in putting a business someplace. But he said, the owner of the business would come down and with his family. And if the family members didn't see certain, they were looking for amenities, a quality of life. So that is an issue. And so congestion is, certainly one of the things that diminishes quality of life. Your educational institutions, which, the board here doesn't have control over that, but good schools and opportunities. We talked about, higher education. We don't have that directly here. Obviously, that would be a plus. So those are all different, aspects. I don't know if I'm hitting on all of the cylinders that you're looking at, but, I think there are a number of them, Another one, this is just I've kind of made a plug for, we have a lot of streets with fences. And, if you're on a thoroughfare and the fences are deteriorating, it looks like a rundown neighborhood, and that's a negative. I think we need to do something about that, and I've had some ideas, but, not everyone agrees, but that's fine.
Yeah, it makes sense, sense.
You mentioned building up the businesses that are here as well as the new ones. What are your ideas about building up businesses that are already here?
I'd talk to Crystal and find out what she's, what the problems are. Basically, it's a matter of what are the issues that businesses are facing. Let's listen, and then the role of government is to try to facilitate solutions. That's as simple as I can make it. So I don't profess to know all the details, but I'm not trying to avoid your question, but that's, I think, the best way to go about it.
Well, I was, again, this is kind of off the record, but visiting with a local business owner and doing very well. And the problem is the price of the rent keeps going up.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only do very well up to a point. Then you're working for the landlord, not for yourself. So,
So we've got to address rising costs of construction, right? Well, that's complex, right?
Yeah, that's just a small issue.
Small issue, yeah.
All right.
And I'm sure you got your hands around it already, so.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
He didn't bring up anything about Indiana. I'm surprised.
Mark Lee?
We even got them.
Oh, there you go.
Just clear that out the way here. Cheating.
Don't get to wear it very often. So hopefully Saturday it'll be a good day. Of course, you guys know my name is Mark Lee. I've been a resident in Pflugerville for over 20 years. And my experience has spent over 21 years in the Air Force. In the last 24 years, I've worked at Applied Materials as a director of engineering. And I have a lot of experience internationally. So I work with a lot of companies, manufacturing, operations, supply chain, not only just the first tier suppliers, but second and third tier suppliers, because they have problems, and they have problems in their community as well. So my perspective, that gives a different look what this organization actually has today, because I have worked internationally, both Europe, Asia, and the U.S. So I think with that, I think that provides a whole different perspective of what everybody's going to look at. And, you know, a lot of things that was said here earlier today, how do you make change, right? Well, there may be disagreements between what PDC or what the city council says, but me as a change agent, I always have to work with different groups. And so my thing is always, and this is how I always train my people, is I give you all the pros and cons, right? And let you make the best decision. That's the way I always do it, right? I want to sell what I want you to go do. And if you approve it, then good to go. But I'm really hardcore on that piece of it because I believe that's the best way to do something, is to try to change the person's mind. So,
Mark, in your experience with working with different corporations internationally and domestically, I mean, I know a little bit about your background, but in terms of the value of finances, is there a number that you work with and have worked with?
well, yeah, because we've actually acquired new companies, and sometimes that turns out to be a good thing. Sometimes turns out to be a very bad decision.
Are you saying you spend money, lose money to make money? Is that?
Yeah, I spent 6 months in Switzerland once on a new company we bought. It just didn't work out, and they were the #1 company in the world for that, and the market got flooded by China, and it actually went down, right? So it was a bad investment. But they take a lot of we did make some money in the very beginning, and even though you do a lot of improvements within the company to make changes, there's always the pushback within those companies as well. And then as you get deeper into those companies, you see some of the financial decisions that they made that were very bad, and you try to correct those to get back into the black. And sometimes that just does not work.
And is that has placed you in a negotiation role?
It has, because in each one of those areas, you got to try to work with each one of those organizations to try to reduce those costs. Some I don't have to negotiate. This is what I want you to do, and you will go do it, because it is a financial piece of it, right? As far as practices of how to build something or develop a new product, because that's what I do a lot, develop a new product as well. In fact, I just got a patent here for developing a new product for my company. And but yes, it does take a lot of negotiations with all different departments, even outside of that, even with the community that you're in, with the local governments as well. That plays a big part.
So overlaying that experience with Pflugerville and the economic environment we have, what I mean, and you've been here, what, 21 years or?
Going on 21 years.
Yeah. And you've seen Pflugerville grow.
I have seen Pflugerville when we had nothing. We had just had a bunch of small shops, and then we got a bunch of big and a lot left, and so that's a problem too.
So where do you see Pflugerville going? I mean, just kind of
And at my point, I see Pflugerville, we need to get some more small businesses in there. And I know we'll have to, help them get there because of cost and things like that, but we have to be able to maintain that piece of it. The other piece I would like to see is more, we have a lot of big companies. We have Amazon. Okay, that's a bunch of service and a bunch of warehousing, but you want more professional services that you have higher paying jobs, engineering jobs, right? If you look around, you have in Round Rock, you have Topan. They do semiconductor as well. They do a mask. We got now Samsung. We have in Austin, we have Applied Materials who builds the equipment. You have some equipment suppliers here, Course Tech, who supports Applied Materials, and other companies as well. But that's where a lot of the high-paying jobs need to be, right? And that's what we need. We don't need any more mattress stores and things like that, right?
No, that's a great point. I mean, I hear all the time people complaining that they have to go to Hutto to eat. I'd rather have those type of companies here that lower our tax base than all the restaurants.
Right. I mean, hey, I look at it, I remember 20 years ago, you used to have to go to Round Rock or someplace else. I can find some places that are here to eat.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to travel far to start with. So it was only, 17,000 people when I first moved here. So big difference.
We'll have a lot of good things in East Pflugerville pretty soon. So.
No, I love the point you make about the high paying wages and ultimately for those jobs, because that has a monster impact on, not only our tax base, but honestly, our attractiveness for other folks to come from here.
Exactly.
And so, and the reciprocal businesses that feed into some of the major corporations too as well. You're right. Looking at those folks around 130, that make a big difference. So, that's interesting. I'd say my only question is that given your experience, is there something that you see specifically that you think that we're not leveraging right now that we can utilize, when it comes to economic development, empowerment here in Pflugerville?
Is leveraging, I'd have to think about that one. I just want to give you another answer.
Thoughtfulness is one of your big things, Mark.
All right. Any other questions, council? Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Victor Johnson. So we're the only two Victors in town, I think.
Well, he's Vic.
Oh, well,
He goes by
I'm Vic
Vic.
too, but nobody calls me.
We can call you Vic if you want. Mr. Mayor. Councilman, how you doing?
Hey.
I'm Victor Johnson. I've been here, I've been a homeowner in Pflugerville since 2013. My background is 21 years in the U.S. Army. I'm a disabled veteran. Following that, another 19 years in state-level law enforcement, criminal investigations. So I've got a background in leadership. I've got a background in building consensus as well. I have a good understanding of what goes on with PCDC because I was the former treasurer and former president of PCDC.
I was waiting for you to say I have a background in PCDC too.
I had a little bit. It's interesting to me the way things have changed in this community. When I signed my first treasurer's review for PCDC, the budget back then was $3 million. And we were pretty excited about that. And it went up to 5. It's over 11 now. It's amazing. One of my background items is that I'm a certified fraud examiner. So I am kind of uniquely able to review the finances of our corporations and look at what's going on, which I did before as the treasurer. I kind of worried some people, but there's never anything to worry about. It was always well done. I've been very active with the community. I was the president of the Downtown Association here for many years. I was the vice president of Pecona for a couple of years. I was an alternate on the Board of Adjustments, so I've had other experience with the city. And I founded the Pflugerville Police Benevolence Fund, which not too many people know about right now, but hopefully you'll never have to know about it. That's kind of my background. I'm here because I want to get back into working with the city. What I want to do is be a part of the continued growth, the maturing of this city, to see that there's sustainable, good growth for the city, fiscally responsible growth for the city, ethical growth for our city. Those are the things that are important to me. I've been to a number of cities in my life, lived in a lot of different places, and I've seen
unrestricted growth, and it's miserable. Unplanned growth is not what you want to see, where you have a desert in one area, where people can't get what they need, and in another area there's so much it's like driving through a concrete canyon. I'd like to see our city continue its maturing, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, but planning for a city of 125,000 people, not just the 80,000 we've got now or the 60,000 when we started these 5 years plans. But planning for that many people to be here in the city, 125, 130,000. The infrastructure needs are very important. And it takes that kind of planning, that kind of foresight to get us to where we want to be here. And that's why I'm here.
Council, you have questions?
Mr. Johnson, I believe you were there when Amy was promoted to executive director. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
You were on the board when Amy was promoted to executive director?
Yes.
All right. And since PCDC is hiring and going to be onboarding a new executive director, what do you think you've learned from your past experience, and what do you think? How do you think that experience will help a new executive director come on board?
Yes, sir. When Mr. Johns comes on board, I think it's going to be a very exciting time for our community because he's going to bring in outside ideas. But there'll probably be a little headbutting, as there usually is when you onboard somebody new like that in a senior position. We want to make sure, I would hope to make sure, that he understands our community. I think it's very important to not just look for those big businesses that want to come in here, or rather that we want to come in here, and rake in the jobs, if you will, the primary jobs that are so important to our communities. But we need to have him understand that we're facing a lot of competition from the local areas, Williamson County and Travis County, all of the little communities around here. And we don't want to blow all of our budget. We want to be fiscally responsible in the way things are going. We have a wonderfully vibrant community here. And that's what's going to draw new businesses. Not throwing money at them anymore. That was something that you do when you're a brand new city and you're just getting started in the business. We're a very mature city now. We don't need to be blasting dollars out to get people to come in. What we need is a nice, safe, vibrant community that's exciting to live in. That makes people stay here. And just as important as bringing businesses in is retaining those businesses. And that's how you do it. You have a good community that people want to stay in. Businesses, executives look at that and they realize that they won't have the same turnover in a community like ours that they may have in some other place. So we just have to work with him, hopefully, to get him to understand where we are.
Yeah. Mr. Johnson, how would you describe our community today?
I'm sorry?
How would you describe our community today?
Right now, I think it's a pretty exciting time for our community. We're doing a lot of new development. We've got the downtown east. That's a very forward-looking thing, and it's going to change some of the complexion of our city. We're doing very well with parks, recreations, trails, making the city very inviting. We're doing a good job, I think, with recruiting the people that we bring on board. Our city is well positioned because of its location, the proximity to the major arteries in the area. Austin Executive Airport being right here gets constant traffic. which indicates that people, executives see our community. What I'd like to see is that continued interest from the high-level people. We want to be able to, as PCDC, continue our aggressive marketing with those folks. Show them our community. Impress them with the way we're growing. Planned, fiscally conservative, ethically bound, a good, solid community.
Thank you.
So, Victor, did I hear you correctly a while ago? Maybe I misunderstood. Are you against giving businesses incentives to come to Pflugerville?
Am I against incentives?
Yes.
Some incentives I don't believe we need to do. I don't believe we need to be blasting a lot of money out. Other smaller areas, they need to do that. We did that at the start of our PCDC. We started offering a lot of incentives, and we've kind of grown through that period. Yes, incentives are necessary, but some of the incentives that we can give are more along, we have to be able to ensure that the companies make up their part of the bargain, in that they're bringing good jobs in, not just bringing the jobs in, but maintaining the job.
That's the key.
So, yeah, incentives are, but they can be moving incentives. They can be incentives with pieces of land. We're going to give you a discount on the land, whatever it happens to be. We don't need to be saying, we'll give you a company like Tesla. We're not going to give you $2 million to move here or $20 million to move here. We don't need to do that anymore. That's my opinion based on what I've seen.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Very exciting to be here again.
Okay, we'll follow the same process, starting at, that's it, Mr. Rogers.
Did we?
Linda, isn't there someone
Yeah, I
else?
thought there was.
Is there?
Linda Battles?
And
She's
or is
not
there
here.
people not
She's
here?
not here?
No, was it Alfred?
Yeah.
Linda Battles.
Is out of state, according to my notes.
Okay.
She's not
Okay.
present.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Rogers.
Well,
Make the mayor.
like I said, I think that's the strongest group of PCDC candidates I've ever seen. I wish we had more than 2 vacancies to fill. Everybody that came up and talked is somebody that would do a fabulous job. And we're lucky to have those people volunteer for this kind of thing. Having said that, I'm going to say that my top 2 picks are Mark Lee and Victor Johnson.
Victor Johnson and Adam Rosenfeld.
Who was that?
Adam and
Adam and Victor.
Victor. One of the few times you'll ever hear me say this, I agree with David. This was quite literally impressive, and I hope that whoever gets on here listens to some of the advice that was given from the council and from everyone else regarding their actual interviews. And also, I get to say this because the mayor said it before, and I'll remind him again, we have other boards. We could use some of that good energy in some other boards. I'll leave it at that. With that said, Adam and Mark Lee.
And my picks are Adam and Mark Lee.
My choices are Adam and Mark Lee.
All right, my choice is Mark Lee and George.
And to echo what you've heard, we've had some incredible applicants today. I think I actually served with 3 of these folks on PCDC and Natalie at Facona. tremendous amount of leadership and vision for the city in this cohort. I'm gonna have to go with George and Victor Johnson.
I have Mark Lee with 5, Adam Rosenfield with 4, Victor Johnson with 3, and George Van Werken with 2.
So I make a motion that we appoint Mark Lee and Adam Rosenfield. A motion and second. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Gentlemen, congratulations. Adam, welcome back. Mark, we look forward to working with you. And the reason I started with PCDC is I'm jumping back to the TERS board. Currently, George Vanderwerken serves on the TERS board, and he had indicated to me that he would go either way. He had a preference for PCDC. And but he said he would be willing to serve or continue to serve on the TERS board. Is that still correct, George?
Yes.
Okay. So moving back to item 3B is consider action to approve a resolution approving the mayor's nominations and appointments to the city of Pflugerville Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1 Board of Directors. My nominations are George Vanderwerken, Michael Martin, who's currently a board member, and Elizabeth Montoya.
Second.
Well, you need to make a motion.
I'll second Kimberly's.
Motion and second.
Oh.
All right.
I did think he was presenting a slate too.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought the same thing.
Motion and second to appoint. Okay, motion carried. Thank you very much, council. And the next item is to discuss and consider action to approve a resolution approving the mayor's nomination for chair of the reinvestment zone to number 1 for a 1-year term beginning January 1st. And I get to do this every year. Michael Martin is currently the chairman, and I'm nominating him for reappointment as chairman.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Did y'all just, he was like Batman who just moved?
I apologize. I missed the who moved.
I moved. Who was the second?
Rudy.
Rudy.
Okay. And motion carried again. Thank you very much. All right, so let's move on down the road here. Hold on. To the 3E is conduct introductions and take action to make appointments to the library board. So we have 4 regular openings and 1 alternate, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 applications. Madison Ramley?
Hello, my name is Madison. I've been a Pflugerville resident since 2021. My background is I'm a speech pathologist. I mostly work with adults with spinal cord injury, but I started my career with children in a school setting, which has a large literacy component. Particularly we are taught the principle, it's called the Matthew effect, which is essentially that kids who like to read will continue to read and become great readers, and that will, give them a lot of educational success. And that's something that I'm very passionate about, even as I'm now working with adults. I have 2 kids, 4 and 2, and we frequent the library. The library has great activities for children, but it's also a community hub. ESL classes, all kinds of resources, Wi-Fi for those who don't have it. Personally, as somebody not personally accessing the kids programs for myself, I've used the Fab Lab to rent equipment for activities like taking a quilting class, podcast equipment, stuff like that. So I believe that the library is a great community center for us, but I do think it could be improved. Space is a huge issue, as I'm sure you guys are aware, and has been going on for a while, but the community has gotten larger, and I would love to see the library grow in space. The programming is really excellent. They do a lot of incredible things. There's some things that other libraries in the community are doing, such as being able to rent a pass to local, like Wildflower Center, places like that. Other libraries allow you to sign up for a rental of a pass to go there for free, or the Thinkery. I think that's really exciting for our community, family members, and families that don't have the access to go to places like that because of the cost. So, yeah, I think the library is a wonderful place. I love to go there. I love to take my kids there, and I love to help improve it.
Any questions, Council?
I mean, I want to hear more about the ability to rent the
Yeah,
pass, but I think
me
that's
too.
more for the library than for you. So
Yeah,
no, thank you
it's-
for bringing that to
Yeah,
my
it's at
attention.
it's at Round Rock for sure. And I also have a library card at Round Rock, and I've been on the wait list for quite some time, and I wondered, could we bring this to Pflugerville, because
A wait list to get a library card?
it's a wait list to get. Basically, you sign up as if you're going to check out a ticket to the Thinkery or
Okay.
the Wildflower
Yeah, gotcha.
Center museums, and yeah, it's a
Yeah.
pretty cool resource.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, just real quick, no, I noticed it earlier, and it just reminded me, you have a background in speech language therapy or pathology?
Same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah,
No,
just
it's a wonderful
the
thing.
fancy
And
word.
you're still doing this as
Yes,
well?
mhm.
At St. David or?
At St. David's.
Are you working with children or adults?
Adults.
or- Sorry?
Adults.
Adults?
Yes.
Wow. No. I have a son with autism, nonverbal.
Oh,
so-
okay. Yeah, I used to work with children in the school system, but then transitioned to adults.
No.
All right.
Impressive. And Rudy will like you. UT.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
All right, Sean Mann. So Mr. Mateer's not here, so if you graduated from UT, it's okay.
I did not. I'm from Las Vegas, so I've got no no allegiance. My name's Sean Mann. Love speaking in public, so if I pass out, my notes are here. Just grab them, continue on for me. I work as a director of software development for a company that makes boring business software, so that's what I do. My wife and I live in Old Town. We have 4 kids. We lived in unincorporated Pflugerville, so we've been very excited to move here into the city proper a couple of years ago. So I've been trying to be involved as we can. I'm currently a member of the Mobility Master Plan Committee and a recent graduate, like a couple here, of PF 101. What will get me up to speak in public is my love for libraries. Grew up with them with a dad who was a lifelong, he went to university all the time. So we spent, growing up in the libraries. But I have a very strong belief that the services of the libraries are one of the most important things that a local government can provide to its communities. In fact, I'd say they're vital services to communities. As someone who benefited from these things, events as a child, access to information, to computers, to books, all vital things. But especially, I think, providing these services to those who don't have access to them. Right, things like free Wi-Fi. Events to go to. We've attended the Library Con, the winter events with the children. Things like a printer, right, where you don't have access to a printer. I could talk for myself. I was getting passports for the kids, had to print something. I don't have a printer at home. But people that they don't have computers, they don't have access to the internet, they don't have access to books. All the offerings that they give, right, that you can get books from the library system at large, right, are all great things. Especially, fostering education. As the previous speaker said, learn to read early, get excited to go to the library, use your imagination, take advantage of all those things, will last you a lifetime. It's going to aid you in high school. You think of things like teenagers, or young professionals trying to get advice on a resume or print it out. Even, I noticed the free Wi-Fi in the parking lots, right? These are, I think, vital and valuable services to the public community. So excited to, offer my assistance and answer any questions.
I just want to say it's delightful to see you again. I believe we met during National Night Out.
I don't know,
but we were moving around. But I remember you.
Okay.
And it's good to have you here this evening. Thank you.
How long have you lived in Old Town?
2 years almost. Yeah, just about.
What street do you live on?
Railroad and Pfluger. So diagonal
Okay, yeah.
from the
I know where it is.
fire station.
Yeah.
You would know a little bit.
Yeah. All right.
So I thought of this question with the previous applicant, but what do you think we need to do to get people who aren't drawn to reading to come and explore the library and maybe get drawn to reading?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think some of it is, knowledge of what the library offers. You can almost, I think, hook them with other things too, right? And then, all the books are there for reading. I think certainly, getting young kids involved with reading, right, through various programs with letting them know what's there. There's so much programming that I think that unless you're looking in the right places, you don't know about it. So advertising that to a wider base, getting people excited early, I think can do a lot. Maybe things like outside of the library events that hey, this is what the library does. Bring it out to the public.
The bookmobile.
What's that?
The bookmobile.
Right, exactly.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
Oh, no, I was just echoing. I always call it the joy bus. I believe that we should meet people where they are. And I believe that readers are leaders. As someone who came from poverty, when I opened a book, I could go anywhere I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Anywhere I wanted to go, and it was able to transform my life. And so I'm really big about meeting people where they are.
Take a look and get a look. Reading Rainbow.
Well, there's so much that's virtual now and that's really kind of the upside and downside because it's unfortunate. I have 8 grandkids and of course the older ones who are at Hendricks, both of them, and they don't know what a book is.
Right.
They don't. They're this.
Yeah.
Well, on that point,
kids-
I was going to ask a while ago that I don't even know if I want to ask it. 'Cause, is the future of physical books in jeopardy, in your opinion? Because I'll give you an example. Like, I want a physical book, but my 19-year-old wants it. She wants to read it on her iPad or her phone or anything like that. She wants to, whatever book it is, she wants to read it on there. She doesn't want the physical book.
I mean, I think it's hard to say, right? I think I love physical books, like you said, right? So it would be hard for me to imagine physical books to go away. But, you can get that content in other ways, and if they love digital books, great. But, I think that you see bookstores sticking around and things. There's just something tangible about holding the book and flipping through it.
Kind of hard to highlight a screen, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I write in all my books. So.
You can do it.
You can.
But when I led book clubs in both the elementary school and the middle school,
No way, I can't believe that.
the kids wanted the physical books. When I offered audiobooks, they're like, no.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about our library is that we have the varied opportunities to do what you like to do best and continue to offer that.
Right.
So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sarah McCaslin? Sarah McCaslin? Well, it appears we have our appointments.
Oh, that's it?
Oh yeah.
Well,
good luck.
no.
We still gotta rank. We still gotta rank. We still gotta
No,
rank.
I thought I had
Jocelyn,
more people on the
Frank?
list.
I'm sorry?
Frankie.
Frankie, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
Because we still have to rank them anymore.
Good evening. I'm Jocelyn Frankie. I moved to the Pflugerville area in 2021. I'm sorry, 2021. When I was pregnant with my youngest, and now that he's 3, I can kind of see beyond the toddler haze, and I'm looking forward to getting involved in the community because we've had such positive experiences in Pflugerville. I, too, am a lifelong book nerd. Grew up in the library. I grew up in Arizona where it is even hotter in the summer, depending on your definition. We could debate humidity, dry heat, but let's just
agree to disagree. So I spent a lot of my summers in the library, very voracious reader, continue that today. I was raised by a teacher. I was educated as a teacher. And I moved to Texas to go to the LBJ School of Public Affairs to...
That is a fine institution of higher learning right there.
It is a wonderful, wonderful school. And UT is
Not enough books.
So I actually transitioned into education research and technical assistance. So for the past 10 years, I've been working for a firm called Westat, which is a nationwide research firm in their education studies division. I work with state, local, and federal clients to provide technical assistance services, data-driven decision-making, and research-based advice and coaching. So currently my main contract is with the Texas Education Agency. I am a project director for the technical assistance for federally funded after-school programs that are provided at over 650 campuses across Texas. And I read almost 200 books a year, and I have indoctrinated my kids into the ways of book reading. I had to buy my daughter a Kindle because I couldn't keep up with her library books. And it's something that I feel very passionate about and would love to contribute supporting that knowledge base in the community, as well as many of the other activities that are essential in the community as well. So.
How many words per minute can you read?
Oh, goodness. I can read, if I stay up late, which I probably shouldn't do so much anymore, but I can read 2 full books in a night. It's one of my superpowers. I actually use it at work a lot.
Wow. How long are these books?
She's not talking about Sammy the Seal.
Well,
Wow.
and retain it all.
Yeah.
What was that speed reading program that existed years ago? I forgot. Does
I
anybody
can't remember the name of
remember?
that. Yeah, that was.
You developed your own, I'm sure.
Honestly, I think it was because my mom was a teacher and she didn't want us home with her all the time in the summer, which I respect now as a parent.
Yes.
And we just spent so much time at the library that my sister and I both have it. And also in hindsight, we both have ADHD. So, maybe there's a connection there at the speed of which our brains are processing information.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We can question that.
Oscar Flores?
How many words can you read?
Yeah, can you speed read?
There. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Oscar Flores. Oscar is fine. Been in Pflugerville since 2016. Went to UT twice. Didn't graduate, I'm sorry. I still bleed orange. I graduated from ACC as a video game designer. Currently working at a University Federal Credit Union. Started in their front lines as a person taking calls over the phone and worked my way up to a designer for their communications and resources for internal staff to make sure procedures are on point and they do a fine job at what they do. I am very passionate about the young community and adult community. I currently lead a Pokemon Go group as a Pokemon Go ambassador recognized by Pokemon Go. We are up to 2,000 people and we have had up to 100 plus people show up at our events at the domain. I would like to leverage this group to later do community service acts, whether it's picking up trash, going to go vote, meeting up at a library.
Oscar, can you explain for us it's a big deal what you just talked about. I know it's very nerdish, but it's really cool. Can you explain what Pokemon Go is and why it's
He's speaking on his own. We're probably friends already.
And why, what that means,
Sure. So, as you may have known, Pokemon is a brand that was born in the 90s. Started off with a show and trading cards. Has then evolved into video games. One of its current video games is on a phone, and it utilizes GPS. So as you go around everywhere, you can go to the city of Pflugerville and spin Pokestops at the library, at your restaurants to get more items to catch more Pokemon. In this, you also can team up with friends to trade, to raid Pokemon bosses together to catch them. It's a really unique and fun community. I've never seen so many young people show up together outside of home and be excited to be around other people in this day and age. So it's something that I'm really excited and passionate about, especially since it's an undertapped community that can, I think, be very much well leveraged in the city.
I'd love to see that integrate more with our Parks and Rec, but how do you see that integrate with our library?
So the way I see this in our library is just kind of bringing people together to a centralized hub. I would hate to bring 100 plus people to, a Chili's and then Chili's starts going, hey, why are you guys not eating here? Versus going to the library. We kind of sit down together, talk about what we like, learn more about the things outside of what we like or an advanced version of it, whether it's formatted reading, learning things about together on the internet, or just how to maybe learn more skills in the library too as a community.
Do you want to talk about a certain greater Hispanic Chamber Leadership Academy and why it's a big deal that you're a graduate from that?
Yeah, so I was a part of the Hispanic Austin Leadership Program and just graduated this year. It was a 10-month program where each month we'd have different topics of the city of Austin come in, whether it was the fine arts, education, medical. We had all sorts of different variations of the city show up and tell us the ins and outs and how they impact the city and what they do. Also inspiring us in our leadership or new leadership roles to how to then go into the city. They very much told me, hey, when you get out of this, don't stop, go apply for a board later. Sure, thought about it, saw this opportunity, and I was like, I need to act now. This is exactly what Monica was talking about. Monica Andry is the CEO of the Greater Hispanic Austin Community Chamber Commerce.
Whose children go to Highland Park Elementary in Highland Park.
Cool. All right.
Always.
Thank you for your energy.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you for having me.
All right. Mia Medina?
Can you capture Pokemon?
No.
How fast can you read?
Sorry. I also didn't go to UT. I went to Texas Tech, so I'm not going to. So there you go. Well, good evening. Thank y'all so much for having me. My name is Mia Medina, and I have been a resident of Pflugerville for 4 years now. I'm here because, like many folks in the audience and who are also trying to be part of this board, I also love the library. I really rediscovered my love for libraries and reading during the pandemic when there really wasn't a lot to do but read. So but what I love about the library, besides the opportunity to check out so many different books and audiobooks, is actually if you ever get served a link on Google and it's this really cool article and you click on it and then you get a paywall, right? The first thing I do now is go to the library and log in so that I can go to the Washington Post without paying. It's incredible. I have also utilized the library for research, for work purposes, for personal purposes. If you read a really great series and you're like, well, what am I supposed to read now? You talk to your librarian and they give you your next recommendation and your next potential book boyfriend. If you know, you know. So my experience that really I think would be a strength to share to the library board is I'm a nonprofit professional. I've been in the nonprofit space for almost 10 years now. In my professional life, I am a senior program manager for No Kid Hungry Texas, where I am actually working to end childhood hunger and provide 3 meals a day to every kid across Texas. The work that I do there is really thinking about how can we create stronger resource hubs in schools. And I think libraries are really similar because libraries across Texas, there's libraries that serve as summer meal sites, for example, where a kid can go in the summertime and get a free meal and enjoy the library, right? And then go back home. There's also libraries that serve as therapy centers for community members who cannot afford to go to therapy or perhaps don't have opportunities to find a therapist. Maybe there's not one in their community. So for me, I'm really excited to utilize my experience not only in engaging the community, but also strategic planning, fundraising, and grants as well to really help us build a stronger library.
Boy, I've got to say, you're one of the few people who are aware of the subscriptions that you can leverage through the library for that as well. So I really appreciate you bringing that publicly because that's another reason to get a library card and be a part of it. What year did you graduate from the Emerge program?
It was in 2022.
Okay. And what do you think you've learned from that program that you can leverage here to utilize here in Pflugerville for the library board?
Yeah, when I was in Leadership Austin Emerge, my biggest complaint was we were always talking about Austin proper. And I was already living in Pflugerville at that time. And so I was always like the annoying girl in my cohort being like, okay, well, I live in Pflugerville. And that's not really true for me.
God bless you. Keep
Yeah. And so I talked about that a lot. And I'm really excited about really the opportunity. I think what Leadership Austin Emerge really taught me was to keep asking questions and keep getting engaged. I think sometimes it can be, even right now, in my work life, I spend a lot of time with the legislature. I spend a lot of time with mayors and superintendents. It doesn't ever get any less intimidating. This is not, not intimidating to me, right? And so really putting yourself out there, keep trying, keep learning. That's really what I learned from this program, or that program.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I am just totally amazed by the excellent candidates that we've had this evening, just super, super candidates. We have 5 positions, 4 regular, 1 alternate, and we have 5 candidates, so.
Oh, I thought we only had 4 positions.
No, we have 5 because we have
Yeah.
4 regular,
Four
one
regular, one alternate.
One, two.
We had 6 candidates, one didn't show up today.
So I don't know who would want to volunteer to be an alternate, I guess, or we would, I don't know, council, I don't want to make the decision.
I could recommend we each pick 4 names, and then that would give us,
I think it'd be easier for somebody to volunteer.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
All right,
There we go. It's
I'm sorry,
Madison.
who was that
very
volunteer?
excited.
Madison.
A lot of energy.
So do you want, well, I mean,
Library.
these people, boy,
So then I guess I'll move that we appoint Mia Medina, Oscar Flores, Jocelyn Frankie, and Sean Mann as regular, and Madison Gramling as an alternate.
Second.
Motion and a second. Made that easy.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, they were all great.
Oh, incredible.
That was a tough
gonna
one.
be they're all-
Yeah.
Learn new things.
I'm
Just
reading
remember,
something from the
there's a
library
lot
every
of,
day.
there's a lot of future city council members that come from these boards, and
They were
what
all
we're
great.
seeing tonight.
Motion
wasn't-
carried, thank you.
Just saying.
Well, library board members, welcome. Look forward to some exciting things. I'm sure our fabulous library director is going to be excited working with you guys. And by the way, she is you were the top library director in Texas or the world? The world. Or was it? It was the
Well, I
world.
mean, if it was in Texas, it's de facto.
Wait, are you trying to say Texas is not the world?
I love that.
I mean,
One in Pluto, came in second.
All right. Moving on to, and Trista, I hope I'm going to get to the right, Planning and Zoning Commission, take action to make appointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have 4 regular openings. We have 4 candidates, if they're all here. Teresa Atkinson.
We never listened to it.
You're gonna move to.
I was about to make the motion.
Well, we used to do that, but then we decided to not do that anymore. Remember?
yeah.
That's up to you all.
So, I mean, sometimes it's better to leave a vacancy than to get someone who doesn't have vision.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Go ahead, Teresa.
Hi,
Tell
good
us your
evening.
story.
My name is Teresa Atkinson. I have a PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I currently work at Allstate. I in a change management role. So in that role, I help our employees remain agile and adopt new behaviors and ways of working. I'm a Louisiana native, but I've lived in Texas since 2018, and I've been in Pflugerville specifically for about a year. And since joining Pflugerville, I have become a board member of the Highland Park HOA, and I'm
Great HOA.
Thank you. And I really am looking for more ways to become engaged and embedded into the community. And because I want to make a positive impact, and I think being part of the Planning and Zoning Commission would be a great way to help Pflugerville grow sustainably and create a community where people can continue to thrive.
Well, you've got a very impressive resume.
Oh,
Obviously, your job capabilities and what you do have the nimblest from there. But there's one important question you have to answer.
Okay.
Are you going for Clemson or Texas for the game?
come on.
Oh,
That won't-
Clemson.
Oh, see, look at that. Just because you get your PhD from there doesn't mean you have to support the school. Okay.
So Teresa, I got to ask a few questions. I noticed that, well, I'm going to be honest. I noticed you haven't even attended a meeting with P&Z. So P&Z is not one of those commissions that you can just jump right into. And what makes you feel that you can be beneficial on P&Z?
No, that's true. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to due to schedules, but I think I bring a lot of good traits. I'm really involved in research, so I'm not afraid of new areas. I'm used to taking, areas I'm not familiar with or that are ambiguous and learning and growing quickly. I also really enjoy collaboration. So Allstate has about 50,000 employees in 5 different countries. So there's a lot of collaboration cross-functionally and within teams to, get things done and bring a lot of different voices to consensus.
Do you have any knowledge of planning and zoning?
No, this would be a new area for me.
Okay.
So let me echo on Councilman Ruiz's comment about short of the Economic Development Corporation, which is one of the most essential corporations or boards in the city of Pflugerville, planning and zoning probably ranks right up there with that, because, it's a process of meeting with developers, builders, companies that are wanting to come to Pflugerville and identifying different locations. They've already gotten site selections done. They want to get their zoning done, and a lot of times it's maybe not the best zoning or fit for Pflugerville. So you've got to be in a position where you can say no as well, and look at what value an applicant is bringing to the community, how it fits in a particular neighborhood or commercial district or wherever it may be, and what the end value is to the citizens of Pflugerville. So it's very important, I guess.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And that's, I think, what interested me is the possibility to make that positive impact.
Okay.
You're the first line for us.
Yep.
Eyes and ears on these things, and that's pretty important.
And don't be surprised if we overrule, because we do.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm used to that.
Dr. Atkinson, what was the title of your dissertation?
I think it was about, that's a good question. I forgot, actually. But it was about people who experience disabilities and factors that help them re-enter the workforce and maintain their employment.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
And then I know you said you haven't done a whole lot of research on planning and zoning. So no harm if you don't know how to answer these questions, or this question. I just want to know, do you have an opinion on density? And do you have an opinion on a planned use development versus straight zoning? And if I'm using lingo that you don't know yet.
No, that's good. My answer to a lot of things would be, it depends. I think what I'd want to do is research and look into the background of the pros and cons of single zoning and, multiple uses of zoning. But yeah, that would be my answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no doubt with the doctor from Clemson, I'm sure you're really great at research.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, Jonathan Kaufman. Not your first rodeo, right?
Good evening. Yeah. So Jonathan Kaufman, this would be my second term that I'm looking to be reappointed for. I'm currently serving as the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And, I think a lot of the work that we've been able to do with staff over the first couple of years that I've been on P&Z, we've made, I think, great strides in doing several things. I think we have put a lot of effort and thoughtfulness into ensuring that we are fostering smart growth in the city and making sure that we are creating opportunities for a diversity of housing options to improve affordability. I think has been a large focus We've certainly looked at a ton of the commercial side as well, and you've heard from other folks this evening about expanding the tax base, and that's certainly been a big piece of it. And I think that P&Z's role in attracting development in ways that will serve to improve our quality of life as well as our finances is incredibly critical. And I think it is very important that we provide a opportunity for the citizens to also come and speak, right? I think it's a very important public forum, these P&Z meetings, when there is new development coming into different parts of town, for them to express their opinions, thoughts. It's a great lever for the commission to push back on some of these developments and make sure that we are putting the right businesses and the right housing in the right places. And I'll jump back to one of Doug's questions about density as well. Pflugerville needs more density, but it's got to be the right kind and in the right spots, right? We need to foster a community that is equitable and accessible at different price points, at different types of communities that folks want to live in. So,
Jonathan, can you explain why you think Pflugerville needs more density?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it is. It's going to be really important to improve affordability over time, both on the commercial side as well as on the residential side. I think there are some really interesting newer neighborhoods that have come through the process in the last 18 months, especially that have smaller homes, but really centered around community. So, for example, the cottage court concepts that we've seen a couple of developments take on, where you've got inward-facing housing, right, so that folks have a natural congregation place. So I think things like that are opportunities where a traditional 60, 70, 80, 100-foot lot is not going to drive that type of community. Happens to be more dense. Now that said, do we want another island of apartment buildings in another part of the city? Maybe not, right? We have our Stone Hill congregation of all of our big apartment buildings. Not that multifamily isn't important. We'll continue to see that. I think one of the big things that we should have a good conversation about is the ongoing trend of build to rent in town. There's more and more of those developments coming in, and I think that's.
I can't believe you said that. So the Wall Street Journal just had a major article that came out recently that spoke specifically about how you're having higher end homes that are being built for a generation that's not going to be able to buy their homes. They're rental. Like, they have nice size, full size homes, but they're all rental properties with that as well. Tell me, what's your philosophy about that? Because one of the things that we often talk about as a council is that we want people to have their home ownership, because there's not, we're talking about from a wage gap. The wage gap is narrowing, but the wealth gap is getting more and more significant through the years from there. And how do you build wealth? Normally for 85% of all Americans, it's through home ownership right there and getting that equity. But I also understand that, just like you said, affordability, that's a real thing if people want to go and live there and work for that. So can you just give your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a conversation. I have a younger sister, and I was talking to her this weekend, and she was telling me about her coworker. She's in her mid-20s, works with folks between 20 and 40 for the most part, right? So she's works in the service industry. And she was telling me about none of her friends own a house or even think that they will probably ever own a home. And so to that point, I think that, our role is certainly, I think we have to create opportunities to make that possible and provide a community that is going to inspire folks to believe that they can do that. Because, again, like I said, she said none of her friends are on a path for that. Most of them live with roommates and rent. And certainly we need to make sure that rents are also affordable, for sure. But I think the more we can do to attract a diversity of housing options, the better chance we're going to have to create opportunities for actual ownership.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks, y'all.
And let's see, where are we? Andrew Crane.
Hello, Council. Andrew Crane, and for the record, Recomtech. So my name's Andrew. I've lived here in Pflugerville since 2012. I've had the privilege of serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 4 years, and so this would be my third term. Additionally, through Planning and Zoning, served on CPAC for the Comprehensive Plan, 2040, and then the Parks and Rec Steering Committee for the new rec center, which, all together has been a huge privilege. I've said this many times in different settings. I'm from Houston, and so the idea of me being involved in city government is just comical, and so I still just giggle at how much I've gotten to see. It's also been a huge privilege to have voted on nearly $1 billion in public infrastructure projects before they come to y'all's desk. And what's really remarkable over the last 4 years is having seen what started, and then where in year one and now in year four things are actually moving, right? And so the Parks and Rec, the new rec center, it's unbelievable that process started 2 years ago, and now there was a groundbreaking. It was wonderful to be there. Thank you. And it's just so interesting. And then at the last P&Z meeting, there was some young citizens who came, and we had the privilege of talking to them and saying, guys, this is how this stuff works. And what's really wild is to me is listening to all these people that have come up and spoken passionately about the libraries and the parks and planning and zoning and all these things that are happening. It's really humbling to be able to participate in that process, and then ultimately, reap the rewards of it as a citizen. So it's been a real privilege, and I look forward to hopefully my continued service. I'd love to be on the commission 2 more years.
All right.
As a Houstonian.
Yeah.
Does the idea of being on planning and zoning
right
strike you as particularly odd?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Houston is famous for not really having zoning regulations.
But yet Houston does control zoning through ordinances.
Right, and so
just we like to say they don't have zoning, but they have. They effectively do.
Yeah, it's not really the Wild West. It's just the West. But what's interesting about Houston is that in my neighborhood specifically. There was an apartment complex that backed up to my neighborhood, not my street, but friends on there. And I don't know, in 2010, the apartment was demoed, and then they did 0 lot line, 4 stories high, right? So it was a 2-story with a setback and a parking lot, and then it was demoed and 4 stories high. And so even now we go back and I have friends who lived in the house who had 4 stories of neighbors behind them. And so that's the kind of thing that would obviously, decrease property values and otherwise be a huge annoyance and not something that I would want. And so one of the things that we've talked about through a number of development projects is the setback requirements. I'm thinking specifically of a couple of apartment developments out on Weiss Lane that were coming, and then there were some setback issues on some stuff on 130 that we're always really considerate of, just so that people who are already homeowners or already residents or already businesses, that they're not impacted by something that does have the ability to go 4 or 5 stories high.
Even on Pfluger Farm.
Even on Pfluger Farm, yeah.
And you have a background in construction, don't you?
Real estate. Well,
Real
so
estate.
it's kind of it's a mixed bag. So I had a signage manufacturing company for 8 years, and that was light to heavy construction and manufacturing. And so I ended up dealing with a lot of masonry and city ordinances and local governments to get projects approved. And then I transitioned into commercial real estate. And so now I'm on the land development side, and then industrial leasing and tenant rep and things like that. And so a lot of it, what's really interesting, this comes up all the time, is they were talking about, well, we don't have anywhere to eat, right? And then one of the other applicants for PCDC was talking about shovel-ready sites. Well, that's a combination of so many things, right? So one of the things that's been really interesting to observe is how there's a desire from the citizens to have things, right? I want to spend my money here. I want to stay here and live here and congregate here. But also I find myself having to go elsewhere to get all of the things that I want. And so I think it's really a privilege to be on the planning and zoning side to see where the development's coming in, so that when I do have the opportunity to speak to my friends who are complaining, I go, hey guys, just a second, in 5 years from now, this place will look unlike anything that you've ever seen. And that's exactly the message that I relayed to the students that attended the last P&Z meeting, is that, massive change doesn't happen overnight. Like the concrete can't dry that fast, right? And so it really does take time and thoughtful planning to execute a vision that, quite frankly, most of the Planning and Zoning Commission has shared for the last term. It's been a real great team to work with.
So I agree, it doesn't happen overnight, but even in the 17 years I've been on council, it's happened at warp speed. So
It's unbelievable. It really is. And I think, the new rec center is going to be the nicest facility built in the region in the last, say, 5 or 7 years. I mean, truthfully, like both in dollar value and in its amenities and its offerings, included with the city council structure and the parking garage and all that. I really think that's going to change the way that Pflugerville looks, period, on a map. And it's going to make a lot of alterations to, the way that development comes in and land starts trading and things like that. I think we're really going to see a massive uptick in a lot of that.
So thanks to our citizens voting on that, you see a demonstrable difference in how we're setting the vision for what we want to see from here, and then so for future developers and other folks to follow that vision.
Yeah, amen.
So in your time on PNZ the last 4 years, what type of zoning changes would you decline?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. We don't really decline a lot. The things that I remember, there was an apartment developer. I don't remember if was it Robert? I forget who was with us, but there was an apartment developer that wanted to do a project out on Weiss Lane, and it was separated from the corner of Weiss and Pfluger Parkway and some other development. And there was issues with access, like ingress, egress. And so I think from my recollection, it was like a 20-acre single ingress, egress issue. And so that was denied. And
Right
I
across
think
the
that,
street from the
right across from the high
baseball
school.
diamond, right?
Yeah. And I think really that was just kind of the zoning met its requirements for the most part, but that was a particular issue. And so I think we denied that. I think they came before you guys, and I think that was upheld. And then I think they came back and then made an alteration to their design.
We denied it, and then it came back, and they made the changes, and we accepted it.
Right, and so I think.
Something or other, I can't remember his name, yeah.
So on that note, we're really not, so I think this is another interesting aspect of the commission is that, really the commission does act as a check against just any old applicant coming before the city council. But we're not in the business of telling people no, right? We're in the business of telling them, well, maybe, or yes, right? And so I think the issue that has been discussed at our meetings, which was always a good discussion, was the difference between being business friendly and developer friendly. So developers traditionally are outside builders that come in and they put a project on the ground and then they leave. And so the revenues that they generate through that development and that sale go with them. And one of the things that we try to focus on, just kind of as a general rule, is being business friendly, where if somebody wants to come in and put a project on the ground, if they're benefiting the community at large, then that is typically, a favorable project. So like another good example is this 2 meetings ago, a person that I know, they have a cleaning service, and I forget the name of the cleaning company, but they've operated out of Round Rock on Double Creek right next to the post office for 10 years or something. And they've owned the land here in Pflugerville for like 7 or 8, and they just finally got to a point where in their business they can develop that. Well, that's going to be a massive benefit to Pflugerville just because of their employment base. They have a massive employment base, and they're developing a greenfield that's in town, and so it's just something that's really positive, and we're looking forward to having that.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, also, one note, when I was appointed, I don't know if when I was appointed for the first time, I had no experience. But what was really privileged, it's been a really big privilege of serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission, is that a number of people were very generous with their time. And so I would absolutely encourage you to consider applicants that have no experience on planning and zoning, because it's been the privilege of my life to be on part of the board. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a great testimony.
All right. Chelsea Burkett? Are you a PhD?
PhD? No.
No, okay.
I did go to UT though.
There we go.
There you go. That's their equivalent.
You're
It's
ABD,
fine.
right? You're ABD?
ABD?
All
but dissertation?
No?
My name
Oh,
is.
no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes.
I was like, I don't know that acronym. I know a lot of acronyms. That's not one that I know. AISD, yes.
That looks like ABD if you look at it real fast.
Well, hi, I'm Chelsea Burkett. I am currently on the Parks and Rec Commission for 2 years, serving as vice chair and applying to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission. My current experience is, well, I'm a licensed civil engineer, graduated from UT with a civil engineering degree. And for the past 7 years, I've been working with Austin Independent School District on their 2017 and 2022 bond program. Currently serving as the deputy director of my AECOM team that manages about $1.5 billion of the $2.4 billion bond program. So I work a lot in, kind of a developed world and a building type world. We work a lot with the city of Austin in the site development permit phases. I've been to a few planning and zoning meetings with the city of Austin on a presentation side with certain schools and, considering certain development expectations with our schools. I've really, really loved and enjoyed being on the Parks and Rec Commission. It was a really awesome experience to learn more about the city of Pflugerville. And also was a part of 3 subcommittees within that commission and currently a board member of the foundation, the Parks Foundation, that we partnered with the Deutschen Fest with. So excited to be here and would love to bring my experience with civil engineering, master planning and large developments and just excited to be considered for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Are you still on Parks and Rec?
Yes, I'm terming out.
Oh, you're terming out, okay.
Yes.
See that one. All right.
I considered applying for both, but then realized that I can only be on one, so decided to apply for planning and zoning, since I'll get to keep that connection with the Parks and Rec Department through the foundation.
Any questions?
Could you give me your opinion on density?
So I think that a density growth is, we need to grow more as, Pflugerville, we need to expand more. We're having more and more folks move here. We hear a lot about affordability with the work that I do in Austin, and Pflugerville is known as one of the most diverse, one of the more affordable areas. So I know a lot of folks are moving to Pflugerville for what it brings for affordability. So I think in the next 10 years, similar to what some of the PCDC folks were saying, planning for 125,000 people, large growth over the next, 10 to 15 years is going to be really important, doing it in an intentional way, but density is going to be a reality. But starting density now in a way that's mindful, that still keeps what makes Pflugerville is really important. A reason why I joined the Parks and Rec Commission was because I love our green spaces. I love the way, I love that we're the, trail capital of Texas. I really think that Pflugerville as a community has a lot to bring to make it attractive to folks over the next 10 years. And growing density doesn't, I think a lot of folks hear density and they think it's counter to sustainability or green spaces or trail spaces, but mindful density is going to be essential along with infrastructure to maintain and to facilitate that level of density growth is going to be really important over the next 10 years.
And I have to ask, do you have any opinions on Downtown East or the Main Street extension?
That's a really interesting question. So I actually am a direct neighbor of, did you know that?
I did.
Oh, okay. So I am a direct neighbor of that development. So I'm in a interesting environment where I hear a lot of folks' thoughts and opinions about that development. I think that it's really, personally, I think it's very exciting. As a homeowner, like on a personal basis, I see a huge value that's going to happen with my, my investment into my home and what is going to be attainable like within that area. I know a few of the architects that are actually working on that project. I think LPA and Stantec, I believe, are two of the architects. Really, really beautiful visions. I attended a few city council meetings where they talked about how that's looking. It's very intentional. And I think that having a more developed and intentional downtown is going to be important to make people want to stay in Pflugerville and spend money in Pflugerville.
along with having the ability of maybe adding businesses whenever there's more direct access through the Main Street extension. But, I also see some of the thoughts related to concerns that have been raised related to it, but generally, I'm very excited about it.
All right, glad to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, council. We have 4 positions, 4 candidates.
I'll move on all 4.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve all 4 candidates. Motion carried. Welcome aboard and welcome back as well, and look forward to some very exciting things moving forward. All right. Our next item is appointment to the Equity Commission, and we only have 1 applicant. She's not here because she was sick. And do you know if she's not a current member, right? No. Okay.
I think we bring her back.
Yeah, so she can come back for the January 14th meeting. The next item is appointment to the Finance and Budget Committee. We have 5 openings and we have no applications, so sounds like we need to come back. Oh, wait a minute, we do have somebody.
Excuse me, Mayor, I did apply to the Equity Commission.
Oh, you did?
To the city, earlier this week.
Okay, I'm sorry. Why don't you come forward?
Documentation right here, if y'all want.
Yeah, no, come forward.
on up.
I'm on it. We don't believe you, so keep going.
I thought it was something.
I was wondering what you were applying for.
I didn't want to interrupt the procedures.
Thank you.
Did you make copies for all of us?
I did not.
Unacceptable.
I did not.
All right,
Yes.
give us your story.
Okay, I appreciate the time. I see a lot of citizens have left, but my name is Omani Gilliam. It's a pleasure to be here. Mayor, council members, Doug, Rudy, Melody, congratulations. Kimberly, Holiday, congratulations, and Mayor Pro Tem. Caesar, good to see you. Doug, pleasure to see you again. So it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Omani Gilliam. I just recently served on the Finance Committee, finishing this current term. It was a pleasure. A lot of great and valuable experience. So I'm really happy about the time I spent on the Finance Committee. I learned so much about the city as a whole, just to put the finance and infrastructure together in a balance. I also completed PF 101, great experience there. I'm currently International Services Executive at AT&T for 24 years. And just to not talk too much, I know everybody's ready to get home, but it was interesting. I was in a little dilemma as we do that as professionals. We want to take that activism and be involved in local community. And I was thinking, like, I want to be back on the Finance Committee. And I'm looking around in my office, and I'm like, and I'm seeing all my awards, and I'm seeing all the awards, and everything is in reference to equity. And I said, And so I started, looking more information up, and I made that decision. And I thought more about it, and I looked how the Equity Commission was even created and commenced just 4 years ago, to 2020. And that touched me in a way. And how we look at our society, just as a whole today, and so many interested in the planning and zoning. And, I looked at our social media, and I'm like, wow, we got 80,000 citizens. Do they know the power of equity? And it touched me. And at that decision, I said, you know what? I'm going to resign at my post in finance, and I'm going to move forward, and I would love to make an impact in Equity Committee. Any questions, please feel free to ask. I know everybody's ready to get home. Thank you for the note, too. I appreciate that. Yes.
What do you think the Equity Commission is for?
Oh, I love the question. Anyone that doesn't know that, they definitely shouldn't be applying for the position. But I think the main encapsulation of this understanding, it's for the advisory. But not only for the advisory, but have that innovation of thought to understand what really equity is. I had a very interesting conversation with an individual, not to jump on another tangent, but he asked me a similar question in reference to why do people care about diversity, equity, and inclusion? And not to even go in that lane, but there's a very highly respected individual. And I say that to say, I let him know just in simple terms that diversity in my outlook is you're invited to the party. The inclusion side is now you're invited to the dance. The equity is a little different. A lot of people get confused with the equality and, you know, the equitable access and the policies, but I said, think of it this way. Imagine you're invited to the party, you're invited to the dance. Now you're in the backyard. Everybody is having intellectual, positive conversations. And then individual behind another fence says, I have a $2 million opportunity for everybody that's here. $2 million opportunity for everybody to improve their careers. Now, people say, just come on the fence. Just come on the fence. That's all you gotta do is come on the fence. Everybody starts coming on the fence, getting those opportunities. But I notice some people in that backyard can't get over the fence because they don't have the physical abilities, they don't have the resources, they don't have the tools, they don't have the education. My legacy I want to leave on this earth is to help those individuals get that ladder, to get over that fence, to get that phone book, to get over that fence. And that to me is equity. So anybody on this commission, they need to see that power. And it's a fight that you want to have intellectually to make sure you're always advancing the power of equity. So I hope that answers your question.
No?
It doesn't answer your question, but equity is important. And as a whole, it's fairness, justice, and
Okay,
equitable
so
policies.
equity is important.
Yes.
What is equity?
Equity to me is 3 words: equitable opportunities, equitable policies, fairness, and justice. That to me,
That's a lot more than 3 words.
but you understand what I'm saying, my friend. And that's what it's about. It's not diversity and it's not inclusion. That's why I gave that example. So anyone that wants to be on this commission, they understand that it's not about race. It's not about Republican and Democrat. It's about how can me unite us all. And I look at my career and I look at the impact I've had done, not only with AT&T, but being a community leader and being an equity advocate by conviction. I'm an equity advocate by conviction, my friend. And so I say that to say, I love it. And I love for giving opportunities for those that deserve it. And so, yes, this commission needs the uplift of new ideas. And I intend to do that.
I appreciate your passion.
Thank you.
What do you think Pflugerville can do differently?
Great question.
From the ideas and
Yes.
diverse thought from the commission?
Yes, great question. I appreciate that. And it goes back to what I was saying about the other committees. They have had probably dozens of years to really make their foundation. And when you think about it, right after the pandemic, the Equity Commission thankfully was created within our city, which is a phenomenal opportunity. But it hasn't been enough time. You know, what can you really do in 4 years to make that impact? You know what I'm saying? So I think the first thing we need to do is be more innovative as we possibly can. One thing I did with AT&T, we did a pilot program in Equity First app, and we brought the mentorship and engagement and collaboration, all races, all nationalities, just so they understand what really the core of listening is. And that's a part of equity too, being your authentic self. So I think we can do a better job at that, listening to the whole as our society.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
We're good.
Sorry my application was late. I thought I put it on time.
That's not a problem.
We're
I
just
could
glad
talk
you're
about
here.
my wife and my
I'm
son.
gonna
and my kids.
snitch to AT&T on you. On that.
That's business in it. Yeah, you know, so any questions, feel free. And I appreciate the question, Dave. I do.
Mayor, entertain a motion. Sure. Motion to approve Monty to the Equity Commission.
Second.
Second and a third.
I appreciate you. Thank you, team. Have a blessed one.
Just pick any one of us, yeah.
Again, I'm gonna go with David Rogers. Like, I mean, the people coming out today.
What now?
People coming out today.
Yeah, the people who show up today.
It is fire. I mean, it is. I'm
Well, I'm not gonna insult past groups like David did, but, you know, and say they're all the votes. But
Oh, did you say that?
We continue to grow.
You know,
Is
there's
there
the
one they-
doomsday defense and then there's other defenses. I'm just saying.
you should stop saying.
All right, motion carried.
All right,
with equity.
Well, yeah, we got
All right,
one.
and we'll bring the other candidate back and any others on the 14th. Let's see, the Budget and Finance Committee, we'll probably bring that back as well. And I think,
May I
Sure.
ask a
Sure.
question about the committees and the items where there were no applicants? Is there a plan to recruit for those committees and commissions rather than just say that there's an opening? Or is that up to individuals?
So what we normally do is this, because staff, I mean, and I'm assuming you already have the statistics, Serena, about where you've went ahead and advertised and worked on that as well. They also rely on us, to your point, to make sure that we're out there recruiting good people to come out and support and apply and work for these things. And I think that we all are aware of, just like the mayor said, of these openings. So I think it's just an incumbent on us as a staff to go ahead and talk to some folks that we know would be good to serve on here, including some of the people that didn't make it today.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe we can have a conversation. I mean, I did reach out to some people, but I'm still.
It's Christmas time.
Yeah.
item 3I, Serena, you had a comment on this?
I do. Since the inception of Deutsch Fest Committee, we just see a continuing decline in interest of that committee, and I don't want to speculate for various reasons. This year alone, we only had 3 meetings that met quorum, and with that, only 2 individuals from the committee even volunteered at the event. So this is not a thriving committee. We would like to suggest that the Parks and Rec Commission have a subcommittee that manages Deutsch Fest, as there seems to be interest in that group, rather than attempting. In the past, we've also given people the opportunity to serve there when they really didn't intend on serving on Deutsch Fest Committee, and then they didn't have their heart in it or show up, et cetera. So we would like to suggest that we use a subcommittee from the Parks Commission, seeing no applicants.
I have a question about the special events subcommittee with the council. Is that overseeing or related to Deutsch Fest as well, or are those different duties?
It includes Deutsche, any
It includes
event.
all
Oh,
the
okay.
events.
So then we have a special event subcommittee with the council plus Parks and Rec that.
And basically, the subcommittee, the special event subcommittee, our role is to, evaluate the functions of the events, the outcomes, the changes. I know that Shane brings up a lot of innovative ideas to address events at different times and make the appropriate changes as necessary. So we get a chance to review that.
So what is the role, like traditionally, what has the Deutsch Fest Committee done? Do they do things outside of the meetings, or are they just to review, or staff just presents what the plans are? And it's, I don't know,
Well, there haven't been many successful meetings.
I guess what's the goal? Okay.
So the intent would have been different than what we were provided.
So I think the intent and the history there is that community members would be involved in the planning and help in some of the day-to-day operations of Deutsch Fest. I think the city has largely taken on some of the more administrative duties, but in the past, that committee has served in an administrative function, not just an oversight function.
Right.
I would love to see it as a way to, for lack of a better term, conscript members of the community to perform some of those administrative tasks. It sounds like we're not having a lot of success with that.
Nobody wants to order porta potties.
Well,
I mean, when it comes down to it,
Well, that's why I was just wondering
the
what they are doing.
operational work is not that fulfilling, and people don't, want to do that role.
And let me address the committee, the original, the legacy committee that was in place for 25, 30 years, or however long it's been. And it had been a great committee. I was on it for 3 or 4 years myself towards the end. And each member had certain duties and responsibilities, and they were divided up equally and made a commitment. The problem is, it was the same people for 25 years. It got long and old and hard to do. And so I think the operation we have now is probably
a little more seamless and functional and getting the same job done without all the edits.
Well, we probably have more resources at city staff than we used to.
Right. Absolutely. Where were we? Oh, you were saying.
That's my suggestion, rather than us continuing. I mean, our market and outreach is pretty phenomenal in driving traffic to go click on the link, and we have all that data. They're not clicking on to apply for Deutschen Fest.
Yeah.
Is that committee established by resolution?
I believe it's resolution. Yes.
So we'll need to bring it back.
We need a resolution to dissolve or appoint, or just, should we just name everyone from Parks and Rec as members of the Deutschen Fest committee?
I'll bring you back something.
Yeah, okay. Okay, moving on to J, 3J, Board of Adjustment. That is the sweetest job in the world. Anybody?
Let me just say.
Oscar's been sitting there, I don't know.
That is the
Yeah, like how often do they meet?
the best meeting.
The dean.
Once every 3 years, maybe?
And you can be on PCDC and this too. You can do both, Oscar.
No,
PCD.
No, you
We-
can't? Am I wrong? I thought this was the one where you could.
not the latest.
We've had differing legal opinions in the
I thought PCDC was that one entity where you could. do
Okay,
that.
so
'Cause it's-
we'll continue to, I think, we can
Depends on our
certainly
legal
recuse-
opinion at the time.
And it is an important,
It's
very
incredibly important.
It is a very important.
Yeah, I have had a
Board of
couple of folks who have been recommended to serve on that. I don't know that they might be voluntold to serve on that, but
Yes.
we'll get them recruited.
yeah, it's the only board that city council can't overrule.
States.
Yeah, literally.
So I guess there's not enough razzle dazzle with the Board of Adjustment.
That would do that perked up. He's like, oh, you can't overrule.
Bye, Shane, love you.
Enjoy your time on the DFS committee.
All right, item 3K, discuss and consider action approving the 2025 city council meeting calendar and canceling board, commission, and committee meetings for the month of July. The whole month?
We have very poor attendance, if any, in that month.
That's
It's a
for
heavy
board and
travel.
commissions?
For
No,
boards
city
and
council.
commissions.
Florida Commission.
Not for
For boards
council.
and-
Oh, not the city council?
No, not
No,
that
no,
one.
no.
If you want to
I was
clarify.
about to
Yeah,
say, you
so
usually
It's
bring that.
both.
It's
Yeah.
both. So the first
both.
part of it, that 2025 city council meeting calendar includes a cancellation of the second
One
meeting
meeting,
in July, as well as the second meeting in December. And then the second piece of it is canceling July meetings for boards,
You usually
commissions,
bring
and
this in the
committees.
spring, I think, right? We're just gonna.
We're getting a head start on it,
So we
huh?
can-
Yeah, so we can
Yeah,
just.
better.
Yeah.
I'm
I
curious.
would rather cancel that first meeting in July and leave the second one on the calendar.
Well, so by canceling the second, that is a July with a fifth Tuesday. So we end up with a 5-week span of opportunity for us to get out of town.
David wants the other one because he'll be in Wisconsin. See?
That's right.
Motion to approve,
If we do it that way, I'll miss you guys for 5 weeks.
You'll miss us for
3K
7
is
weeks.
presented.
9 weeks.
Second.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm missing it, Bob.
Well, I wouldn't say miss.
Okay, so this is to cancel the second July meeting and the second December meeting, and then all
Yeah.
board
boards and
commission,
commissions.
including planning and zoning
In July.
Yeah.
in July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you about that later.
Okay. I just want to be
It's a-
clear.
it's a good
because we
decision.
didn't-
It's a good decision. And it became quite apparent this year.
Oh, sorry.
Which you can't.
I'm on the wrong screen.
I usually go in June, so now that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
there we go.
I
Yeah,
know.
sorry about that.
And then
Okay.
I
Okay.
have other cities telling me, wait, you have to
Motion
say
carried. Look at those
He
Christmas
votes
colors.
against it.
Look at those Christmas colors. I thought I'm wearing the Grinch shirt.
Discuss and consider action regarding public safety subcommittee appointments. Do we have a public safety committee?
That was requested to be on the agenda.
No, so
Yeah.
I think, so this is something that I had requested. I think following, recent events related to ambulance service, it would behoove the council to have a coordinated approach to any negotiations and conversations that need to happen around moving forward. I know I've been in contact with some folks at the Commissioner's Court and elsewhere, and I just don't want to, go rogue on that, so to speak. So I want to see if the council would like to, appoint a couple of folks to have those conversations.
And I had a conversation with them, well, this is independent from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, about that. That was a good idea.
Well, yeah, I think that is a good idea.
Okay. And I would love to serve on that committee.
I would too.
Is this just a one-year committee, or are you proposing this to be an ongoing committee and to be considered
It's
with the
been an
other
ongoing-
committee?
I don't think we ever dissolved it.
And
Well, 'cause
until
it
we
was
solve a problem, I don't know.
Okay, because there was 2 years of a gap where there was no committee on there. That was
Until we solve the problem. So in other words, forever.
Forever.
So ongoing until dissolved is the goal.
I would say, yeah, no stated end date. Happy to do appointments on an annual basis.
Yeah.
I would move to appoint Mr. Weiss and Mr. Mateo.
I'm gonna second that. Go do the work.
All right.
Fix it.
So the
Mr.
resolution.
Okay, no, I was just gonna say, I mean, you got a lot of enemies over there, Doug.
Do
You do.
Okay.
And they don't want you on this committee.
Okay.
So I'm hoping, I trust you to go out there and build the bridges.
Who do they want
Many of them
on the
which you burned.
committee?
Yeah.
Hold on, no, I'm actually.
No, I'm just asking.
Can I finish?
I'm just,
To rebuild those bridges, of many of which you burned with a lot of.
I don't know that I've burned bridges. I've already had several
And I'm not trying
conversations
to
with
be
folks who.
mean or nothing
No,
like
that's
that. I'm
okay.
just being honest about this since we're talking about
Okay.
this, so.
I appreciate it. I can understand having people with differing opinions, certainly, but I don't think I have any enemies. I don't think I've burned any bridges.
Good. Well, do we have a second on this?
We had a second.
Okay.
And a mandate to work.
Yes. So she's giving me that look.
Yeah, she gave me that look.
I just wanted to explore your comments and your feedback about that the individuals that this committee would be working with, who they would want to see on the committee. So did you have other ideas of who
Would you
be-
prefer other individuals to represent on this
No,
committee?
No. No, we need two. I mean.
Different individuals. Would you recommend
Yeah, well, because
someone else?
you raised concerns, so I just
would
thought you
recommend
would.
anybody else.
have
No,
some-
I think you want this, Rudy wants this, I'm all for it. I just,
There we
just
go.
kind of giving you that,
Let's move on.
We don't
Okay.
need three, that's for sure.
Okay.
Unlike the legislative committee that's, might need a little policing.
All right, motion carried,
All
and
right.
before anything else
That's it.
happens, we're adjourned.
All right. And for the benefit, I was running a little late. I do have some eggnog for everyone in the garage.